Thank you. How are you today?
I'm doing so well. I'm genuinely excited because we've been in the process of connecting to schedule this conversation for quite some time, and here you are.
Yeah, Shilpa, I'm excited. I know that we both enjoy spirituality, and we're going to be talking about how that working and how we mix it in with business and mindset. But I'm excited to have this conversation today.
Well, and you are perfect for this category. Well, there's multiple areas where we can d dive deep. This particular topic is called Unveiling a Spiritual Entrepreneur Mindset. And I have it in my heart that the new generation of entrepreneurs that I will definitely be resonating more and more with are those who blend spirituality with solopreneurship or entrepreneurship,
Yes.
because we have a separate life for professional and personal, but in the end, what we're really seeking is joy and bliss.
Yes. And I can speak to that because my journey to entrepreneurial mindset, spirituality, it really began with an intentional focus towards my own self-awareness and my own mindfulness. And some of the things I did, I practiced meditation daily, I journal daily, and I still do. Basically focusing on my thoughts and emotions so that I can understand how they influence my business decisions and my decisions on my everyday life. This has really helped me a lot. And it helps me develop sort of a deep connection between my personal growth and my business growth. And you know this because you're a meditation coach. But the more you meditate and the more you become mindful of everything around you, the sharper your focus becomes, the sharper your awareness becomes. And you can sit in meetings and listen to people talk and really understand if they're just kind of, quote unquote, bullshitting their way through something, or if they really, really have an idea if this concept will work or if this strategy will work to go to market with. So integrating mindfulness, integrating meditation into your business decisions, ultimately, and well, into yourself for your business decisions, ultimately will really help you develop a deeper connection um, personally, and it will really help the growth of your business on making good decisions and really feeling good about them.
And moments ago, before we hit record, you even mentioned something that kind of ties in with what you're saying. This meditation, you're aligning with higher self, also tuning in with what often feels esoteric, like subconscious, super consciousness. What does that mean? And at the end of the day, when you've gone very far into the world of spirituality, you realize that is what it's all about, right?
That's what it's all about, the subconscious mind. My secret to clarity and focus is through the subconscious mind, and I achieve it through meditation. So listen, when and I spoke to you about being a remote viewer and using my subconscious to locate different objects that are unknown to me. And how do I do that? Well, I've meditated for such a long time that I'm now able to differentiate between my conscious mind speaking to me and the subconscious mind speaking to me. So an example is you are at the shopping center and you're at a shoe store and you know you shouldn't be spending that extra money on those pair of shoes. And you see those shoes you like, and you are dead centered, focused on getting those shoes. But something is saying to you, now the budget doesn't allow that. And you quickly brush it off and you calculate what you're gonna pay and you buy the shoes. Your conscious mind went ahead and bought the shoes. But the subconscious mind was telling you the whole time that the budget doesn't allow that. Some people Oh yeah, my second thought, or that's just my conscience messing with me. No, that's the higher self speaking to you. But a lot of people, Shilpa, they can't hear that. They can't hear the subconscious mind speak to them. But you can if you practice mindfulness and meditation, and you can develop this peace and this quietness within yourself that will help you achieve this clarity, focus. And that's why I adopted meditation regularly in my routine. And it also includes, uh, a lot of focused breathing techniques and a lot of visualization techniques. So,
And visualization is, I, I definitely believe that visualization is something we as entrepreneurs we need to do because you're inventing something that hasn't been created. So the signposts are basically you start with that thought, and the thought may be crystallized maybe through some vision and some ideas on paper, and then it turns into planning. But can you speak to how you have been able to further crystallize your entrepreneurial journey through the tools of visualization?
well, each morning, okay, for example, each morning I'll spend about 20 minutes in silence. But the 20 minutes I'm really doing, going into my TM, transcendental meditation. I'll spend 20 minutes in my transcendental meditation, getting deep into transcendence. And then I'm concentrating on my breath. I may try Kalapate breath, so I can fire up the third eye chakra, so I can get the chakra open. And once I do that, about minute 17, I'll start to manifest things that I want in my life. I will have 3 to 4 clients call me today, and I will close one client. So I start to manifest these things while I'm at the deepest level of my meditation. And once I come out of the meditation, then I start to visualize my day ahead, and I start to set my intentions, on exactly what I want to happen. And every meeting that I take, the way I'm going to speak, and how people will receive me when I'm speaking on the telephone or even to a colleague. I want myself to be perceived as a guy who's even keel and not a hothead, not a abrupt person. So I visualize myself with all of these incredible traits that I want, and this is my routine every day, and this is what I do. So and it works, and I've done it forever. Um, and I visualize, and I help athletes visualize. I help business owners visualize the next step. What do you want the next employee to look like? Take that visualization, set your intentions, and do it for 20 minutes a day, typically in the morning, early in the morning, and you can do it late at night. But that routine for me, Shilpa, it's grounded me and it's helped me prepare to tackle any type of business challenges that I've ever had.
And what's interesting about the process you just walked me through
Mhm.
is that when you've been in this practice, so to speak, of mindfulness and meditation, it's almost as though we innately develop this idea that, um, like I do my affirmations, and it's a variety of things. I literally do the step by step process every day. And sometimes it's not like this explicit, this is how this will unfold, but this is how I will show up in those scenarios, and then often open ourselves up to having faith, which is beyond the mind, which is interesting because this topic is around mindset. But if we could suspend the reality in which we live, sometimes we need to realize that it's beyond the mind.
Well, I have a cheat code. I'm a hypnotherapist as well. And that's a part of my job is to reprogram the subconscious mind. It's to move myself and clients into different brainwave states. We know the theta brainwave state is the brainwave state that athletes train in. It's the brainwave state that we work in when we're giving a presentation at work, when we are speaking to a group, or when we're in meetings and we're trying to achieve a certain outcome of a business strategy, we're working in the theta brainwave state, the state of focus. And in hypnosis, we move the client to the theta brainwave state by helping them visualize certain things and taking them on a journey. And once I can get a sales executive to be relaxed and at that moment where he's just at peace, then I make suggestions. You know, typically you've been making 25 calls per week. You will now be at 50 to 100 calls per week. This is something that you can do. This is something that you've said that you can do. So I start to make suggestions to the subconscious mind, slowly recreating new neural pathways in the brain, doing away with the old way of thinking, reprogramming the subconscious mind with this hardware that we have that we call a brain, and introducing new programming. And you spoke about your affirmations. You know, I love manifesting. You know, we talked about, I have a book out, it's a bestseller, Empowered by Consciousness. I have an entire chapter on manifestations. And like my manifesting practices, really it involves me, and everybody does this, not everybody, but you know, you're writing down your goals, you know, let's say your business goals and the steps that you need to achieve them. Um, and you use visualization techniques as well. Um, but I spend time every day, whether I'm doing a 3-3-3 technique, a 5-5 technique, or the 7-7-7 technique, or if I'm doing water alchemy technique, or if I'm doing the 3-6-9 technique. And those are different techniques that you can use to manifest. You know, you can say your goal 3 times a day. For, you know, I'm sorry, you get 3 topics 3 times a day for 3 weeks. That's the 3-3-3 technique. And then the 5-5-5, 5 things you want to manifest. You say them 5 times a day, and then you say them for 5 weeks. You know, so you're saying it over and over and over. And it's the same thing as programming the mind, getting the subconscious to shift into this you know, ideology that I will be the top IT person in the company. I will master the NIST. I will master cybersecurity principles. You know, the 702. I will pass the 702. You know, and that's one of the tests in cybersecurity. So there are a lot of things you can do with manifestation. And when you're manifesting like that, it helps align you with your subconscious. And then the subconscious definitely starts to pick up like, okay, oh, you're wanting to get the the Cisco certification, or you're looking to become a scissor. You want to be an executive. So okay, we're going to start to do things, and I will align myself, and I'm speaking as if I'm the subconscious. I will align myself in this direction to help you achieve what you want. But any kind of affirmations, any kind of manifestation must be consistent.
That consistency is what I've been doing. Almost, it's like I'm programming myself every morning. And sometimes you're like, oh my gosh, again, I'm reading this again out loud. But it's worth the 10 minutes every morning, going through the thoughts, going through the desires and aspirations, and a variety of things that you were describing. Now, perhaps because I love the idea that we get inspired by the stories that manifested and how things unfolded for the human. Give us an example, give me an example of one of these techniques you mentioned and how it helped you in your entrepreneurial journey.
Well, I have a few. I'll go with the one in my book. And the gist of it is, my subconscious, I wanted to align with my conscious efforts. I want to attract every opportunity I need so that I can realize my goal. But I use the water alchemy technique. Okay. The water alchemy technique works on the premise, and I'm going to explain what the technique is. I'm going to show you how I used it. Works on the premise that water holds memory. And we know that from scientific research that water, they've done studies that water holds memory and that the cells in our body, they're smart and they hold memory as well. You get a cut on your hand, the cells in your body will rush to that area to heal it. If it's disease, they attack the disease. If they cannot, they're just very, very smart. So the water alchemy technique is that you take the words that are coming out of your mouth and you speak exactly what you're having a problem with, and you pour it a glass of water and you speak it into the water. I am bad with my bills. I'm not being a great father. I need to make more money. My bank account is low. So you're speaking this into the water because this energy, your voice, it's just like light waves. So it's going into the water. And I took a manifestation class and I learned this technique. So it's awesome. The audience can Google it too, but I have it in my book. So you take this glass of water and you have another glass of water and you pour the first glass into the second glass. And then you start to speak the positives that you want. I am great at managing my bank account. My bank account is full of abundance and I have all that I need. And I am such a great father. And then you drink it. So if water holds memory, the premise is that the water and the intentions that you've spoken to this water, this glass of water, is mixing with the cells. Some say this is a quicker way to manifest your goals, to get exactly what you want in a quicker fashion, other than using the 369 technique or the 7-7. It's a lot of different techniques you can use, but and this water mixes in the memory that's holding this memory with the water, mixing it in with the cells, and you start to move in the direction that you want. So I did this. I had a rental property I wanted to sell and I wanted the max on the market value. But I was getting all these low offers. And I wrote about this in my book, in the manifestation chapter. I started to use the water alchemy technique on the amount of money I wanted. And I did this technique. I did it for 3 days. And I came back and I was off 2 days and I did it another 3 days. And I just sat back. And all of a sudden, maybe a week later, I started getting offers close to the market value. And I ended up closing, not right at the market, but maybe $3,000 less than the market value. When they were valuing me, people were giving me offers that was like $10,000 off the mark. But I got within $3,000 of the market value and we closed. And I made a lot of money on that particular property. So I used it with that. I used it during the Texas freeze. We had a freeze in Texas in 2020. And I was manifesting a new opportunity to make a lot of money. And I wanted a new opportunity and I needed it to happen because we had just got out of COVID-19. We were still in it, but we could travel now. And I needed to make money. I needed to make money. And I was manifesting an opportunity. And all of a sudden, and I'm just saying, all of a sudden, Texas had a freeze. And so there were so many pipe bursts and so many insurance claims that went out. And I had a construction company that I was working with at the time. And the owners was like, man, this could be big for us. And a friend of mine said, hey, you guys want to partner on some work that we have in Dallas, Texas? And it's about, $400,000 or $500,000 worth of work. So I said, sure. I set up the contract arrangement, got the agreements, and we made a ton of money working during the Texas freeze with all of these insurance claims. But that was not on the horizon. I was manifesting a big opportunity that popped up. So those are two examples of using the water alchemy technique that I have in my book that have helped me to achieve what I wanted.
So I'm definitely going to go into your book and apply that technique starting today. So you said the first cup you articulate the challenges or the issues that you are experiencing that you'd like to have a shift for. Then you pour that water, and then you articulate the desired outcome. Is that right?
That is absolutely correct. And we know that our thoughts, and anytime we think something, it goes straight into the universe, into what they call Christ consciousness, the consciousness of the universe. And we can access it. That's why people say that they get downloads. Like, how did he create that invention? How did she know to uh include this in her proposal to help her win the contract? And people just say it just came to me. No, they're downloads. And the way you get downloads is to be on the right frequency. And everything is about frequency. And you can be, if you're on the right frequency of the information you're seeking, then you'll have the knowledge to create the proposal to help your company win the contract, or to the frequency of the client that you're trying to do business with. You can't come in there as a low vibrating individual and the client is vibrating at a different level than you are. And you're in there slumped down and you're trying to talk and he's sitting up, professional, listening to you. Okay, show, speak to me, talk to me about what you're wanting to present today. Like, well, your vibration is low. You have to vibrate, or you have to be on the same frequency as the business that you want. Well, Jason, how do you do that? You do that by practicing mindfulness, practicing meditation, infusing love in your, raising your vibration that way, smiling, simple, smiling, you know, having thoughts of love, be mindful of the things around you, the picture on the wall, the curvature of the picture. Look how smooth it is, the texture on your kid's wall, the shoes you're wearing, the shoelaces, simple things, being more mindful, infusing meditation, having love in your heart helps you vibrate higher. It moves you to a different frequency. And I know that some people may think it's woo-woo, but business professionals, when you infuse this type of practice in your everyday life, when you walk in a room, they'll feel your energy. They are automatically attracted to you. And God forbid you know exactly what you're talking about when you're presenting, trying to get the business. I like Shilpa. There's something about her. I like her. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah. In fact, the word magnetic comes to mind, but that goes back to the philosophy of being able to vibrate on the level at which you want to draw into your life. What do you want to draw? I remember when I met my husband, I remember like literally thinking that I am projecting out the energy that I want to receive. And then we met immediately. We were just in sync. So sometimes I feel like you just need to up your vibe. It
Yeah.
certainly help with those who, like myself included, who feel like entrepreneurship can feel daunting. And yet there are people like yourself who make it look like so smooth. So I'm receptive to learn.
Yeah. And it's about intentions. You have to set your intentions. You can't think that you're going to just be successful as a employee, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, just because you have money. You have to be able to have a vision. You have to be able to have clear intentions set. You know, and most people that are successful do that already, do it naturally because we have these gifts. They think about their intentions every day and what they want. But some people have to be taught how to set your intentions on how to visualize, what they want every day. So
Now, what about the scenarios? And like this is coming to me naturally, where you haven't quite crystallized what you think you want for your business, but you know you need to go from, like, maybe you have only one or two clients, but you'd like to have flow in your financial situation. And you don't know what that will look like though. That the better scenario. Like you were saying that you went from this to this. How do how do you know where you want to go? And what does that gap need to fill? Because just putting in one more thing, when you and I, people like ourselves who do have higher faith in the universe, sometimes the universe gives you something better than you could have ever imagined.
But it still goes back, Shilpa, to being quiet, practicing mindfulness, practicing meditation so that you can hear. And the quieter you are with this practice, I practice twice a day with TM, but whatever the person in the audience is using, the quieter you are, your daily practice, your daily alone time with yourself, you can begin to hear clear. And you will begin the process of elimination on all these ideas that are floating in your head. I want to do this one, I want to do that one. It will become clear to you because you have gotten to the point that the noise of the world around you has dissipated. And you can have a clear conscience and an understanding on which way you should go. But your intentions are huge in all of this. You have to leverage these intentions, each day. Just tell yourself, have a clear statement on what you want, and what you are trying to achieve, and when you align that with your purpose or whatever you in business or and if you kind of move that with your higher purpose, which is really to um it's for the greater good of all, and when you're manifesting, if you're manifesting something that's not, how can I say this? If you're manifesting something that's not in line with God's will, and if it's not for the greater good of all, like for instance, you're manifesting a restaurant. Oh yeah, it feeds people. And you can do a good deed to the community and you can make some profits yourself, but you're providing a meal for people. Well, I want to do a business that people can't benefit from it, but I can make a lot of money. That's not for the greater good of all. So you have to align your goal or your success or whatever you're trying to do, your successes with a bigger picture, which is God's will. And that may be Buddha, that may be Jah, that may be whoever your God is, whatever religion you follow, it has to be in alignment, and that combination for me has been very, very powerful in manifesting business success.
And I do believe that the way you described it, it's really about alignment of who you want to be in those scenarios as things unfold, but also sort of service in a service oriented nature. Like you were saying, a restaurant, but you're still helping others while perhaps feeding your own family.
And it could be a search engine, but it helps people search for information. It could be, I'm going to create a ruler. This will help people measure things when they're doing calculations, or they can, it'll help people draw better. What you have to, whatever your goals are in manifestation, has to be for the greater good of all. And if it's not, if it's something that I want to destroy, help me destroy all of my enemies, people who talked about me, help me. I want them to be unemployed. That's not for the greater good of all. That probably won't happen for you. So my point is you have to align yourself with things that help people, things that are good in nature. And when you yourself have a clear mind, a clear heart, manifestation is very, very doable and it's very, very easy.
And I love the techniques that you've described, and they are in your book. And also, you are writing a few new ebooks. Is that correct?
Yeah, I
Where
have
you
an ebook out, the mental game plan. It's a guide on mental training for coaches and athletes. Some of the same techniques that I use in the Powered by Consciousness, some of the same techniques you use with your clients in spirituality, some of the modalities are applied to that niche, unlocking potential for the formerly incarcerated. That's another group of people that when they're out and they've experienced post-traumatic stress disorder in jail, PTSD, or depression, or whatever the case may be, they're trying to find a job. These people need mindset training. Now there are programs out there, how to do a resume, how to act, or dress code, but there's deep trauma there, Shilpa. And people like us using mindfulness, using meditation, using hypnosis, we're able to help even further recreate this person that has been formerly incarcerated. And I have another ebook um, within that talks about while you're incarcerated. If you're on trial and you think you may go to jail, or if you're incarcerated, how to deal, how to cope while you're actually incarcerated. And I picked those topics because the incarceration, my brother was incarcerated for a number of years, and we experienced recidivism, meaning he got out and he went back, got out and went back, got out and went back. Just the recidivism process is brutal because they are scarred people. A lot of them are very, very wounded emotionally, and they're caught in the system and they don't know how to quite move out of the system. But I write about in the book, he finally got his life together and he didn't go back. But by that time, drugs had taken a toll on his body. So he experienced recidivism. And then once he finally got himself clear, and typically drugs are the main cause of recidivism. And in this case, it took a toll on his heart. So yeah, I've been writing about, Empowered by Consciousness talks about a number of different modalities, and it demystifies these modalities. I try to demystify them so that people don't think that, whoa, you guys are meditating. That's like, woo, or you guys are using mindfulness, or you guys are using hypnosis, but that's crazy stuff. So I try to demystify them by doing a lot of research and a lot of personal experiences. And then from that base book, I start to write about different niches of people and how they can benefit.
And I'm glad you used the word demystify, because there is this gap that I still feel like you and I can hopefully help fill in, where the world of what people think of as the very logical, linear thinking in the world of corporate versus those who I would say practice on a daily basis
Yeah.
and mindfulness, and then bring it into their entrepreneurship, which takes it to a different level. But there is definitely a mysticism around it that I feel like hopefully in the new era, souls like yourself will help fill.
Exactly. I mean,
Well,
we are at the cusp, and you can see that mindfulness is starting to be introduced in corporate America. And they're starting to look at it a different way. But people like us, we have to keep pushing that door down. They'll do it for a year or two, and then they'll kill the program because they really don't believe in it. But the more um, Gen X's and millennials, the more that as this shift starts, continues to happen with moving from third dimensional, five dimensional, moving more towards a peaceful and a spiritually based society, where speaking telepathy is just that's what we do. This using words, that's primitive. So the more we evolve as a species, you can start to see how the workplace will change and how things are looking up. And that's why I'm, putting together this speaking series so that I can uh, help share practical techniques for coaches, for athletes, on mental training for the formerly incarcerated, for the incarcerated. And I plan on writing many more ebooks to spin off to different groups of people, mainly business and professional oriented, to help them deal with what they're facing in their everyday lives.
Wonderful, Jason. And Jason, one last question. I know that you touched on it, but just out of curiosity, how did you first get introduced to meditation? What was the catalyst for you?
Okay, I'm glad you asked. I was trying to have an out of body experience. I was practicing astral projection and I just couldn't get it done. And I was reading the books, I was on YouTube, I was going through all the steps, and I couldn't get it done. And you know why? Chopa, I couldn't get it done. I couldn't relax. I couldn't relax totally. I didn't have that much mindfulness understanding of just being yourself and being in love and recognizing who I was, just recognizing the small things in my life. And people underestimate the power of mindfulness, but I did. And so I said, okay, I'm doing something wrong. And I kept reading, and it kept talking about having love and setting your intentions and being really, really grounded and being at peace. So I found someone on Gaia. No, first I started using YouTube. I started doing the guided meditations. Then went on the app Gaia and found a gentleman, and that's when I really started to be able to sit for 15, 20 minutes at a time, because I couldn't do but 7 minutes when I started. And I started to be able to sit longer and longer and longer. And I felt myself becoming more peaceful, more focused, more thoughtful. And before you know it, I started trying to do it again. And I was able to have an out of body experience. I was floating, I was doing all kind of stuff. But that's how I started meditation. And what really, really surprised me is that when I signed up with Tony Sivalele for scientific remote viewing, and I was really good at it starting off. He says, Jason, you're really good at this, man. He said, I think it's because you've gotten into this transcendental meditating. He said, because people who are avid meditators seem to do well with remote viewing, being able to decipher information from the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. And I was able to do that because of the level of peace and the level of just serenity I had developed. And I could hear and I could see, when I would use my pen and you touch the ideogram and you have to gather information when you're doing a remote viewing session, I could see the information or I could hear the information and I would write it down. So it's a little convoluted with the other things, but that's what drove me to meditation. And since then, I've been a transcendental meditator, and I meditate twice a day.
Wonderful. I love hearing the backstories because then
Yes.
it just lights the room with your personality, your story, your soul. And that's just pivotal for those who are aware now, maybe those who are listening, that I do want to bring in mindfulness and spirituality into my business approach. How will that light things up for me?
Well, I can just say that, a strategy that I've used, and we're talking about blending your spiritual approach to your business. Um, Pretty much, when I was running my business, I would start our meetings kind of with like a little short, let's take 5 minutes, let's just have some quiet time. And guys, clear your mind. You're coming in early from work, and let's just have a mindfulness exercise. And you know, and it helps them, be more relaxed, helps them be more focused, helps the team kind of have more cohesion. Um, and I encourage them to just, throughout the day, if you need to take a moment and breathe and just relax and just feel whatever pressures you're having on you. Just feel that and then recognize them. Don't let them overtake you. Recognize the stress or recognize the deadline and then start back to work. So I would introduce those techniques to my employees. I had a restaurant company, 306 employees, and I had about 12 managers. So the managers are the ones who I would meet with and talk to them about how to introduce this subtle approach on how they were going to deal with the restaurant employees. But they're coming from different environments, different backgrounds. And you have to show them that you care about them because they're not making a lot of money. And you also have to show them that they do have a space for peace, a space that you respect. Some of these kids have their cell phones in their back pocket, and they'll be in the kitchen, and they got to run outside and talk to somebody, and there's some big argument and come back in and mad attitude. They don't know any better. As the manager, you pull them in the office. Hey, listen, I get it. You take a moment. The next time that happens, you take a moment. You go in the back room. You come let me know. I need 5 minutes just to clear my thoughts. And I want you to do that. And you come back and you tell me what's going on. And we'll get through this. But we have to keep working, but we'll work together. That's giving employees that moment, that space they need. You're helping them practice gratitude, and you're practicing gratitude towards their feelings, and you're helping them be mindful, and you're teaching them how to handle situations. So I found that to be very successful. I've done workshops over the very same things for small businesses, and it's worked, and it does work. You do have a lot of hotheads out there, people who will be trained in it, but they disregard it, and they're going to be who they're going to be. They just don't have enough training to be in leadership. It has nothing to do with you or me and what we offer. They're just not, they don't have enough leadership training and probably shouldn't be managers or key figures in the company or something like that. But you get the right person who understands true leadership, and you can teach them how to incorporate mindfulness strategies and techniques that they can practice daily while they're uh, in meetings, uh, you know, giving their employees this moment uh, of gratitude and understanding, and allowing them to have the space that they need to deal with internal issues. Yep.
That's a practice that,
Yes.
like, goes back to each of us playing our small role, that over time, I hope we see that become a common practice in corporations. And it starts with grassroots efforts like ours, I guess, right?
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
I'm really inspired because you described multiple scenarios, including your own personal journey, on how you can incorporate spirituality mindset as an entrepreneur. And I believe um, the content that you've been mentioning, you've made reference to, I'll make sure it's in the show notes, but all of that could be useful tools.
Absolutely. And just recognizing your consciousness, and one thing, I guess a person may want to know, well, okay, I'm doing this, how do I keep it going? I mean, you have to integrate things to keep it going. You have to mix in, exercises, go walk in the park, have a nature walk. Just incorporate things that help raise your vibration on a daily basis. And they'll help you stay connected. And you want to stay connected to your inner self anyway. And you want to stay connected to the universe, to source. But it will provide you a foundation that supports you through all the ups and downs of entrepreneurship, of owning your own business, being a manager or employee, or business owner. I'm talking not an employee, but a business owner. Incorporating these moments where you are in the nature or you're doing small talks and small, having conversations with yourself, self-talk, positive self-talk, and removing all the negative beliefs, not staying with a fixed mindset, but always incorporating a growth mindset in your mentality. A fixed mindset, you're just stuck right there. You can't go any further in your thinking, in the way you perceive. You want to always be able to grow. You want to always be able to adapt new concepts, adapt a growth mindset for the listeners out there, and keep mindfulness center. And if you do that, if you practice being in nature, if you practice meditating, if you practice doing something that makes you happy, and you build it into your routine, then that's how you can keep this stamina up and keep this thing going. Because you're going to have some bad days. You just keep it going that way.
Yeah, for sure. As a entrepreneur, it's a daily, moment by moment.
Yes.
Uh,
Putting out fires.
Yeah, yeah. Well, making sure that you motivate yourself. You're your own cheerleader. You're also your own. I mean, obviously you could delegate, but nonetheless, there's multiple hats that are worn, and one of them is keeping your own minds in check and techniques to stay in line. Well, Jason, I can't wait to have you back, ideally in the future series on just energy awareness, because I know you have a lot of techniques in that space. Like you've mentioned a few just today, but perhaps we'll go deeper in the near future. And I just wanted to thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being present with me today.
Thank you so much. I'm glad you had me on, and I'm looking forward to coming back and sharing with the audience. And let's do it. Let's do it again soon. And you're going to be on the Empowered by Consciousness show, so I cannot wait to get you on as well.
I would so be honored and so excited. Well, thank you, Jason. Have a wonderful day, and we will connect very, very soon.
Sounds good.